Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. The learning curve on the coronavirus has turned to Northern California tonight, and an infected patient whose exposure is raising questions about whether the spread of the disease has reached a new phase in this country. Today, nervousness over the virus and its potential impact on the economy extended the sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow average losing nearly 1,200 points today, down 11% so far this week. Our team is in place to cover it all. Miguel Almaguer starting us off. And Miguel, what do we know about this patient?
Well, Lester, good evening. The risk from that patient that's being treated here is said to be low, but doctors are so concerned because they still don't know how she got the virus. The CDC has said all along this is a rapidly evolving situation, and that is certainly the case tonight.
Seriously ill and on a ventilator, the newly diagnosed coronavirus patient remains in isolation here at the UC Davis Medical Center, perhaps the first U.S. case of community spread of the virus. It means doctors don't know how or where the unidentified woman got sick, since she had no travel to China or known exposure to someone with the virus.
What that indicates to me is that this virus is circulating in the community, and there are probably other cases. This is probably the tip of the iceberg.
With 60 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the U.S., doctors at UC Davis say their patient was transferred here February 19th with a suspected viral infection. But testing was delayed because the patient didn't initially fit CDC testing guidelines. 4 days later, the CDC did order testing, the results coming back positive a week after the patient arrived at the hospital. Now medical staff who came into contact with the patient have been told to self-quarantine.
This case that we're discussing today marks a turning point. And as such, we're expanding our surveillance activities.
As state and federal agencies work to broaden access to testing, doctors may never know how the patient at UC Davis Medical Center became ill. It comes amid a new whistleblower complaint from a federal employee alleging workers didn't receive adequate training or protective gear when they treated hundreds who were quarantined at nearby Travis Air Force Base, raising concerns those employees could have exposed the public when they left the base. In California alone, more than 8,400 people traveling back from regions near the virus's epicenter are being monitored by health officials.
There's probably other patients who are getting this disease, who are more mildly affected, who have not come to medical attention, and that means that everybody in the community is at risk.
Tonight, the virus spreading, as is worry that the public could be at greater risk. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, Sacramento.
I'm Hallie Jackson. A dramatic drop, nearly 1,200 points, the most ever in a single day for the Dow, in coronavirus crash mode, on pace for its worst week since 2008.
Just ugly all around.
Former Fed Chair Janet Yellen warning of a potential recession, but adding
there is some risk, but, basically I think the U.S. outlook looks pretty good.
Vice President Pence with a show of force at the health department.
The president's made it clear we want all hands on deck.
He's now leading the administration's response after critics accused the White House of mixed messaging and confusing contradictions between the president and his top officials.
The risk to the American people remains very low.
The degree of risk has the potential to change quickly.
We do expect more cases.
It may get a little bigger, may not get bigger at all. We'll see what happens.
The West Wing's working to streamline its messaging through the vice president's office, but one top doctor, Anthony Fauci, who appeared with Pence today, reportedly told associates he's been instructed not to say anything else without clearance, according to the New York Times. The vice president has also come under fire for how he handled a spike in HIV cases in Indiana in 2015 when he was governor, initially opposing a needle exchange program before backing one that slowed the outbreak weeks later.
What was his approach? It was to put politics over science and let a serious virus expand in his state.
He obviously has learned from that and arguably would maybe be in the best spot to know how you deal with this based upon what happened back in Indiana.
And in a sign, the administration is certainly watching the potential economic impact of the coronavirus. The president's top advisors on that issue, including his Treasury Secretary, have now been added to that task force handling the response. Lester.
All right, Hallie Jackson tonight at the White House. Thanks. All right, let's bring in our senior business correspondent, Stephanie Ruhle at the New York Stock Exchange. Stephanie, this is the market's worst week since October 08 at the height of the financial crisis. Are we watching investors reacting to anything concrete related to this virus, or is this simply a reaction to uncertainty?
Lester, this is all about uncertainty. Remember, the most valuable asset we have is information. And whether you're an investor, a Fortune 500, or a CEO, right now we're trying to get as much information as possible to make good decisions. And as far as concrete, well, think about what's driven the economy, consumer spending. And we're hearing right now lots of advice to take precaution, stay home, spend a little less time outside, in restaurants, in crowded places. And what does that do? It impacts the economy.
All right, Stephanie, thanks. And that uncertainty you speak of course, being driven by a large part by the spread of the coronavirus throughout the world, leading to increasingly drastic action in some places. Kelly Kobiea is in South Korea tonight.
Tonight, coronavirus is on every continent but Antarctica and surging in South Korea. More than 500 new cases reported today and nearly 10,000 in quarantine. At U.S. bases, long lines. Everyone gets a temperature check. Classrooms in South Korea and Japan are empty, both countries considering keeping schools closed for a month. American Amanda Corkley teaches English in Seoul.
So you get government alerts?
Yeah, so you can get like 4 or 5 a day, and they'll come in. We just got one like this a few minutes ago that says a young woman, age 29, she was confirmed as having a case of corona.
In Iran, 26 have now died from the virus, and a cabinet minister who was seen sitting a few seats away from Iran's President Rouhani just yesterday has tested positive. Tonight, the virus has spread from China to 47 countries. Asia, the Middle East, Europe, North and South America, all affected.
The point is not only to prevent cases arriving on your shores. The point is what you do when you have cases.
In Europe today, Denmark, Estonia, and Romania reported their first cases. In Britain, some of Prince George and Princess Charlotte's schoolmates are staying home after ski trips to Italy, where cases have surged over 600. NBC's Molly Hunter spoke to tourists in Milan.
I think it's been overhyped.
In Saudi Arabia, tourists won't be allowed into the holiest sites for now. The temporary ban unprecedented. And a new twist tonight. In Hong Kong, a patient's pet dog has tested positive and is in quarantine, while health officials try to figure out whether pets can carry or spread this new virus. Lester?
Kelly Kobiea, thank you. Just 2 days now before the crucial Democratic primary in South Carolina, it is a especially critical contest for Joe Biden, who's leading in a new poll. But would a Biden victory be enough to shake up the race? Our Kristen Welker is there tonight.
Tonight, Joe Biden facing a make-or-break moment for his campaign. Getting a boost. A new poll showing him leading in South Carolina by 20 points. And now he's taking new shots at Democratic frontrunner Bernie Sanders.
Senator Sanders' Medicare for All push will be a long, expensive slog. It cost over $35 trillion, and the patients can't afford to wait.
Biden's looking to knock out other centrist alternatives to Sanders, like former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Joe Biden has a convincing win here. Does this become a two-person race between Biden and Sanders?
I don't think so. I've got the most delegates of any candidate besides Bernie Sanders, and I think for those who are looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders, I'm offering a different way forward.
But Sanders insisting he's the Democrats' best bet.
So don't tell me Bernie can't beat Trump. We're going to beat him. We're going to beat him here in North Carolina. We're going to beat him all over this country.
But looming over everyone, billionaire and former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg already pouring a stunning $172 million into ads in Super Tuesday states. Today telling NBC's Casey Hunt he's poised to go to the convention.
Are you committed to staying in through that entire process?
As long as you have a chance of winning, absolutely. I'm going to stay right till the bitter end as long as I have a chance.
Can you make the same commitment that you're in this race to the bitter end?
Well, we're certainly in it to win it.
Joe Biden is counting on his strong support among African-American voters here to win big. But the question tonight, is it too late to stop Bernie Sanders' momentum going into Super Tuesday? Lester.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. A harrowing situation today at a daycare center in a suburb of Philadelphia. A car plunging into the building and injuring several children as they were taking naps. Our Sam Brock has late details.
At a Pennsylvania daycare center tonight, the picture of danger.
I heard that a car had hit the building, so we had to come get our child.
A BMW barreling into a classroom with 17 children inside this afternoon.
I was definitely freaked out.
Authorities say 4 children were injured, one of them seriously, after the car crashed into an area where the 3- and 4-year-olds take naps. According to the district attorney's office, the woman driving the car was hospitalized with minor injuries. The daycare says it's working with police right now to determine what caused the crash. Parents tonight stunned. Amanda Santiago relieved her twin boys aren't hurt.
Yeah, they're okay. I'm the one who's scared.
Tonight, many parents holding their children just a little tighter. Sam Brock, NBC News.
An emergency is unfolding in Houston after a massive water main break flooded a major highway. About a dozen cars trapped underwater. First responders rescuing people stranded on their roofs. The mayor says a private contractor was doing repairs, but a leak burst before they got to it. Blizzard warnings in effect tonight as a major winter storm sweeps across the Northeast. Al Roker is here. Al, what are you seeing?
Lester, right now we're looking at winter weather advisories, including blizzard warnings for 6 million people. On the radar, you can see a wide swath of lake effect snow for the entire Great Lakes. And as we look at accumulations, the leeward side of the lakes are going to see anywhere from a foot to more than 3 feet of snow, plus strong winds, wind advisories for 20 million people. And that's going to mean big-time airport delays from Buffalo, Cleveland, Burlington, Portland, all the way down to New York. Lester?
All right, Al, thank you. We'll be right back in 60 seconds with new details on that deadly workplace shooting at a brewery company in Milwaukee and the new evidence Lori Loughlin's lawyer says will clear her in the college admissions scandal.
To be honest,